Hello and welcome to Strive Defense Dialogue. As you see on screen, today my guest is Air Marshal Amit Tiwari. Sir, good evening and welcome, sir.
Good evening, Bhatia, and thanks for calling me. It is always nice to come to Strive is home only,
Sir,
but
can you hear
nice
me?
to come. Yes, I can hear you.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. And sir, the world is talking about Venezuela. Uh, we've spoken about it before we decided to do this podcast. Was it an attack, or Trump terms it as anti-narcotic action and not an attack? The president, along with his wife, is abducted. Sir, is it a country to country we talking about, or we talking about some part of the USA? And most importantly, वेनेजुएला में जो हुआ है वो सिर्फ लैटिन अमेरिका का इशू नहीं है सर, ये एक प्रेसिडेंट बन जाएगा over a period of time. People may what happened in Venezuela. सर, क्या ये एक पावर का सिग्नल है या ये ग्लोबल रूल्स के बदलते हुए नेचर का एक इंडिकेशन है कि अब आगे से ग्लोबल रूल इस तरह नहीं रहेगा? क्या वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद जो जियोपॉलिटिक्स और वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर है वो चेंज हो रहा है? सर, I want you to please explain it for us that what exactly is happening. And my first question, primary question to you would be, sir, why Venezuela and why now? अमेरिका ने वेनेजुएला को ही क्यों चुना और इस वक्त क्यों चला? Over to you. There seems to be some connection issue. We'll wait for our guest to come. Before Marshal Tiwari joins me again, I would like to say that, sir, yes, sir, I can see you. I'm adding you to stage, sir.
Yeah. As it happens in all the technology, as we started, the
Yes,
lights
sir,
have gone off.
please. Sir,
So now I
I'll repeat my
don't have
question,
any
sir.
choice, but I don't have any choice
Okay,
but to
sir.
be on mobile.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please, sir. We can hear you and we can see you clearly, sir. Sir, I hope you heard
yeah.
my question. Why Venezuela and why now?
Yeah, I heard your question. So there are a lot of things. I think in if I answer all your question, we will finish off the entire evening in that. But let's start from that, where you said that is it military action or it is a police action? See what Trump has said. He has said very clearly that this is a anti-narco action, and he has termed Maduro as the boss. And he sent his forces. He said that no, I'm not occupying Venezuela. I'm not doing anything to it. I'm just catching a narco terrorist, and he has brought him. So that, as far as Trump is concerned, it is a not a war, but applying your domestic law on a international in a international manner is also not justified. So it is in gray area, and it is in gray area because US is doing it. Had some other country done it, then it wouldn't have been in gray area. They would have been very clear that this should not be done. But yes, presently it is in gray area. The second was why Venezuela now. You see, when Trump came over this year, beginning of 2025, when Trump's presidency, second time it started, he noticed all these things that China is making a headway in South America, the global South, which he calls. So China is coming to Brazil also. China is in Venezuela also. China is coming to Colombia also. China was in Panama also. So first thing that Trump did after coming to the power, he told Panama to cancel all the BRI contracts with China. The Hong Kong companies which are supposed to be looking after ports in Panama, they were told to get out. Panama, after some resistance, gave way and it cancelled all the treaties, all the contract with all the Chinese companies. Next was Venezuela. Now, if you remember, sometime a few years back, there was some dispute, and after that, in fact, Maduro's predecessor was in power, Hugo Chavez, that Venezuela stopped selling oil to US. US applied a lot of sanction on it. Even India stopped buying oil from Venezuela. But Venezuela was surviving. It was surviving because 80% of Venezuela's oil was being sold to China. And because sanctions were there, Chinese were paying Venezuela in yuan. And not exactly in the currency, but then it was becoming petro yuan, where China was providing all kind of services. It was providing the military hardware. It was doing the development. China has invested billions in Venezuela. Now, if you link all this to the new national security strategy which US has given in 2025, there US says very clearly that the Western Hemisphere is its backyard, and it cannot allow a competitor or adversary
Correct.
to make a base out there. Now, China coming to Venezuela was exactly like that. So US had to do something, and this narco came as a kind of excuse in that.
Sir, as I understand, sir, you saying that the US primarily is clearing up its backyard. So this backyard question remains with everybody, sir. China considers Southeast Asia as its backyard. In fact, we will discuss Russia and Ukraine also as a thing. So, hasn't this sort of action? I'm sure the Americans have taken this into consideration that you are in a way setting a wrong precedence for the whole world to actually become lawless after some time. So this we will talk about ahead. But sir, before we take on these bigger questions, sir, uh, do you think that it was a very swift military action, or you suspect there was some internal sort of conspiracy against the president, because the president was also not very popular?
Yeah, there are both ways to look at it. Now, if you look at the Venezuela and Venezuelan military, Venezuela has invested a lot of money as far as the armed forces are concerned. It had, in fact, if you read the papers and all, it had the one of the best air defense in South America. It had S-300, the long range missile HQ-12. It had Book 9. It had the radar, specialist Chinese radar, which could pick up stealth aircraft. It had 5,000 iglas. Okay,
Correct.
so now with so much of such a dense air defense, and it couldn't hit one single US aircraft, where US supposed to have employed 150 aircraft, and the
150.
aircraft
Correct.
aircraft included helicopters also. It's Chinook and all the slow moving heavy helicopters, they came in, and with such a dense air defense, and nothing happened. So it was a if I look at it as professionally, it was a very well planned multi-domain operation. It
Sir,
operation
does it say anything about Chinese equipment quality, sir?
I'll just come to that. I'll just give you a brief overview what happened in the thing.
Okay.
The operation took just about 3 hours. However, the preparation was done few months in advance. In fact, they had created a replica of Madro's residence, and they had practiced exactly how to hit him and where to hit him. And to the extent the secrecy was so much that the previous night Madro had the Chinese ambassadors and some high officials in his palace, and they had a party where they went over some 600 odd agreements with which Venezuela has with China. He praised President Xi in the meeting. People also say that this meeting like kind of exposed his position to the US forces. But then this was the level of confidence in Venezuela and thing. Now US, when next morning everything happened in 3 hours. When it started, first it started with the it killed the electrical grid in Venezuela, so everything was dark. It started jamming. It started heavy electromagnetic activities. Now, what happens when electromagnetic activity is on? Enemy will tend to switch on the radar, because if it doesn't switch on the radar, it will not know what is happening. The moment it switched on the radar, US went for a hard kill, and they fired the anti-radiation missile to kill those radars. As the radars were killed, they carried out the cyber attack. They attacked the command and control center, so everything got destroyed. There was no connectivity. In fact, somewhere I was reading that the soldiers were asking, "Should we fire? Should we fire?" And there was no reply because there was no connectivity. And during this time, these helicopters moved in. The fighters were bombing wherever it was required, and they came and grabbed. This was the professional part of it. But then somewhere I read that probably Maduro was sold out, because this is the way the wars are being fought. If you remember this thing few months back, what happened in Syria, there was no threat to Assad, but suddenly some insignificant guy started moving up, who was not even actual ISIS, part of ISIS, and Assad had to leave. When Assad had the entire air force, etc., with him, with the Russian base there supporting him, but it quickly collapsed. So it can be said that there were some hidden agenda also.
Correct, sir. So my supplementary question to all this, sir, how badly is the Chinese weapon market in the world is hit because of and should it be proliferated across, especially amongst the African country where the Chinese weapons are being sold exclusively?
Yeah, this entire thing, in case it happened the way professional war takes place, it is a cause of concern for China, because its radar, which is supposed to be anti-stealth and should have caught F-22 and F-35 some 300 kilometers away, didn't pick up a single aircraft. It was anti-stealth radar, but it didn't pick up anything. Its missile HQ-12 didn't hit. HQ-12 is especially for drones and slow-moving or low-flying aircraft, helicopters. It didn't hit anything. So it shows that Chinese equipment is very prone to software interference or the electromagnetic warfare. They are weak in that area, and they could be jammed very easily. So obviously China will think, when it suppose in future it plans some attack over Taiwan, it will have to keep this vulnerability in mind, that its system may not function the way they're designed to.
And without compromising on the primary aim, sir, your comments on S-300 availability to the US? to study?
Uh, it- I think probably US already must be having S300, but these
Yeah.
S300 were supposed to be older version, and most of them,
Yes.
in fact, I read somewhere most of the S300 were units were unserviceable at the time of attack, because Russia itself is involved in the Ukraine war, and for quite some time, Russia couldn't supply them with any kind of spare support or any training or refurbishment, and most of them were non-functional at the time of attack. Okay,
Right,
and
sir.
S three
Let's
hundred
go ahead,
Russia
sir.
Russia is
If the most
Russia is
powerful
grown
country,
from Russia has grown from S300 to S400 and beyond. So it is as it is for
absolutely
Russia. It is
correct,
yesterday's technology.
absolutely correct, sir. We'll move ahead, sir. The most powerful country of the world decides to act without approval of the UN. तो रूल फॉलो करने का इंसेंटिव क्या बचा है सर? सो योर कमेंट्स
See,
ऑन दिस सर, पोस्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर टू.
yeah, yeah. So now see, this is nothing new. Like it is nothing new for as far as the United States is concerned. I'll just take you slightly back in history. Uh, in 1963, uh, this country, Dominican Republic, had a leader called John Bosch. Now, this leader, when he came into, he was democratically elected leader. When he came into power, he started implementing a lot of new ideas and started working to help poor people. And in the bargain, like every time it happens, business people suffered, and most of the businessmen were from USA. So when they suffered, US intervened and help these other guys, military and the businessman, to overthrow this democratically elected chap. Now, when this president got overthrown, his supporters came together and they started fighting. Now, Lyndon Johnson sent 42,000 troops to invade Dominican Republic and reinstate that those businessmen and military into power. Okay, so it was neither US was neither supporting the democratically elected president, and US had gone uninvited and invaded a country, but nothing happened. You move forward, come to 1983. Now, Grenada. In 1983, one military council took over power in Grenada. So, this democratically elected government was overthrown. This Marxist-Leninist military council took over the power. Now, US thought that there is a new Soviet-built airstrip in Grenada, and they might take advantage of this, and the Cuban and Soviet planes will land out there without any UN approval. It launched the attack and sent about 30,000 troops to Grenada and overthrew the this government. Again, there was no UN sanction. It went on its own. It did whatever it has to do. It had to do. A new pro-US government was established, and it came back, and nothing changed in the world. You come further, 1984, when this was Haiti. Now, this was the only place where where US troops went, but they went after US got a UN sanction. The other two cases which I mentioned, there were no UN sanction. This was UN sanction where Bill Clinton sent the troops in Haiti. However, a previous president, Jimmy Carter, was trying on track two, and military junta decided to stand down, and the democratically elected president came back. So the troops didn't have to fight. But the thing is, US did launch, but it launched after getting the UN approval. Exactly 36 years back in 1989, same thing happened. What happened in Venezuela? In Panama, Manuel Noriega was the president. Now, it is a funny thing. Noriega was working for CIA for 20 years. while working for CIA in army and in Panama army. Then he moved up and became president. Till the time he was helping out US, there was just no issue. Now, probably to buy some kind of insurance, he started dealing with Soviets also. When he started dealing with Soviets, US declared him that he's a runner, he is a narco terrorist. They invoked Article 51 of UN Charter, that is self-defense. Why?
Yes.
Because one day before the US attacked Panama, one single marine got killed in Panama. Now US sent 24,000 US troops to Panama. They overthrew the government, captured Manuel Noriega, got him to US. He was tried for narco terrorism and was awarded 40 years in jail. Again, nothing happened. No, I think Maduro is following the same path. He has been captured. He has gone to US. He's been indicted, and now the trial will start. But nothing happened. Now look at the other side. Saddam Hussein in 1990 attacked Kuwait,
Hmm.
and he attacked Kuwait because he gave the reason that the Kuwait is stealing its oil, and probably it was true. Kuwait was doing some horizontal drilling and taking out the oil from Rumalia oil field in Iraq. So it occupied Kuwait in 1990. The whole world went against it. There was big discussion in UN. US threatened all kind of sanctions were applied. Saddam Hussein was forced to move out, and in subsequent years he was overthrown and killed also. What happened in 1979 in Afghanistan? USSR went. USSR claimed that the Afghan government has invited. Obviously, Afghan government that time was a communist government, and they
Communist.
invited. So USSR went to Afghanistan. The whole world boycotted USSR. 1980 there was Olympics. 60 countries led by US boycotted Olympics, Moscow Olympics. Okay. Russia in Ukraine. Russia in Ukraine has Russia had more logic to attack Ukraine than what US had logic to attack
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Russia had told very clearly in 2014 only that Ukraine cannot join NATO. And Ukraine was joining NATO. Now, Russia quoted that it is against its national security and it will take action, and that's how the war started. But the difference, as far as the world is concerned, you see what happened in UN, what happened in other Western democratic countries. There was so much of discussion in Western media also. Everyone was against these countries when they took all these actions. But when US has taken action, if you listen to BBC, you listen to CNN or any other news agency, most of the people are taking random interviews of citizens and saying those citizens are very happy that Maduro has been removed. Okay, they're not really concentrating on what has happened. Was it legal? Should it happen? Should the sovereignty be violated in any manner? It is totally might is right. हिंदी में कहते हैं ना जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. Okay, it is
Hmm.
might is right. Now, on Monday, there was one UN Security Council meeting. The meeting was called by Colombia.
Correct.
Okay. The entire thing was discussed. Now, lot of people, lot of countries, almost everyone, barring I think UK and all, even France criticized United States. Okay, but no resolution was passed. No one said that the Maduros should be released, US should apologize, or anything of that kind. Nothing happened. It was just a discussion, only a discussion that it should why this thing happened. People said that it should not be done. It is a violation, and US said that it did it in its national interest, and it was a narco terrorist operation, and that's it. Not a single resolution was passed where you can see how the world power has succumbed to US pressure. Suppose there was a resolution and US had to veto the resolution, one can say there was a resistance. but there was no resolution also. So Mike is right.
But sir, after all,
US will do whatever.
after all, after all,
Yeah.
veto is also used by the powerful nations only. It actually powerful को ही power in power किया है sir.
Huh. But the thing is, कि powerful didn't have to use veto also.
Yes, that's the tragedy actually of the UN.
That is the amount of power presently Trump is wielding.
Absolutely. Sir, my next question was on Russia, but you have by and large touched upon it. Uh, Only thing I will say that this particular action of President Trump has actually made narrative of Russia stronger and the logic
It,
stronger. So, sir, Russia has not given any statement. If we see there is no major statement, uh, do we take it that this silence also has some strategic implications?
See, Russia and China both have criticized US in United Nations Security Council. That they have
Correct.
done. Okay. Rest of it is now done deal. So is there is just no point in saying anything more, because US not occupied Venezuela. What US is saying presently also, that they have not occupied Venezuela. Okay. By the way, this is a new way of attacking a country. So
Hmm.
if you notice what President Trump has been saying, that we have removed the president and now we will rule the country, and we will, but will not. We are not going there, and the leaders of Venezuela must follow what we are saying. Otherwise, they will face a worse future than what Maduro is facing. So now, there's one thing. Now, if you break it, you fix it. Here he is saying,
Yeah,
I am breaking it, you fix it, and if you don't fix it properly, I will break it again.
I'm not.
So this is the lesson which US has learned from its action in Iraq and Afghanistan. What happened in Iraq and Afghanistan? It overthrew a government,
Do you do
and
you
then
do you do you see?
in Iraq and Afghanistan, it overthrew a government
Please complete,
and
sir.
then tried to do nation building. Now, and both the places it failed miserably. So here he is not interested in nation building. He is saying, you do whatever I am telling you to do, and if you can't do it, I will come and punish you.
Sir, do you see a pattern, sir? At least I see a pattern, sir. Oil plus not listening to your dictats, so regime change.
Uh, it is a pattern. Yes, it is a pattern. And it is not only on oil, it is on any kind of is threatening to take over Greenland also, because Greenland
Correct. I was
supposed to have lot of rare earth minerals. So irrespective of fact that the Greenland is part of Denmark and Denmark is part of NATO, US is threatening that I will take over Greenland. US is threatening Iran. US is threatening Colombia.
correct.
Okay. So presently, probably US feels that this is the way, which it is a low cost alternative than to go and occupy a country. So what happened in Syria without too much of US intervention, the government fell. What happened in Venezuela? He's changed the leader. So probably one can anticipate similar thing in other countries also.
Right, sir. Sir, China, Taiwan. Do you see something happening now, sir, with Venezuela as a president? And in fact, China has more claim over Taiwan compared to what US has over Venezuela, sir. After all, Chinese right from 1949 have been saying that Taiwan is an unfinished work of their revolution. The communist revolution is incomplete until unless the Taiwan province and they've always been showing Taiwan as the 23rd province of their nation, sir. Sir, what do you see, and does then US has the morality? Though I know in geopolitics today there is no morality, but still, for the sake of discussing, we're saying, does it have the moral right to come and intervene in case of China does the similar thing to Taiwan, sir?
See, uh, uh, if you look at the history, whatever China does, it does with lot of planning. China did anticipate that US in future will impose lot of restriction on it or try and harm its trade relations, etc. So it had prepared right from the Biden's time. It had prepared. So when Trump started applying pressure, it registered and it became successful also. So China is unlikely to do anything in a hurry or on impulse thing. But yes, it gives a very strong motivation to China to resolve its problem with Taiwan. And the way Trump is saying that it was a anti-narcotics operation, China will also say that I'm not attacking a foreign country. The entire world, including US, including UN, believes in one China policy. I am just going to one of the province of China. No country in the world, hardly there are just two, three of them, and some small little Pacific island, Tuvalu and all, who recognize Taiwan as a nation. Otherwise, no other country recognizes Taiwan as a nation. So it says it will say that I'm just going to one of my province and a breakaway province maximum it can say. So no one should object. But the thing is, after what happened in Venezuela, the performance of Chinese equipment, China will have to rethink before taking any action, offensive action anywhere else in the world. Because none of its electromagnetic thing, none of its software, nothing worked. None of the radars worked, none of the missiles worked. And the entire air defense system, which was based on the Chinese technology, was made blind and deaf, and within 3 hours, and in such a short duration. Now, if a long war starts with the entire US presence from South Korea, Japan, and Australia, and Taiwan itself, what will happen? So China will prepare a lot and then only try something. But yes, it gives him a precedence in case he wants to do it.
Absolutely. Sir, do we need to worry? Because we also have a province where there are claims. And similarly, what about other resource rich countries? Uh, how worried they should be now with this sort of thing happening, and there is no law or intervention by an international body like UN, which is as good as ineffective today.
See, like what I brought out in earlier example, when any other country, when they tried this kind of thing, there was UN Security Council meeting and the whole world went against them. So most of the countries may not resort to this thing. The small little wars which are taking place in Africa, they were not waiting for this kind of precedence, so those will continue. But as far as we are concerned, we in India are concerned, uh, we should learn a lesson that such a integrated system, which was from one country, from China and Russia, almost similar technology, and it collapsed in such a fast manner. Okay. So, is are our systems capable of facing such a attack? Will we survive, or there are chances that we'll also go as blind or deaf as Venezuelan system went? So there is need for us to develop our indigenous technology as much more, where we know the frequency, where we know the technology, and where we know how to make it more capable, rather than depending on some outside technology which might have been compromised or which might have been old or people are aware of its performance, or we ourselves are not as much capable on that. There one more thing with the Venezuela. There are about 80 people died, out of which 32 were Cubans. So
Correct.
were these systems manned by Cubans? And how expert were Venezuelans in operating these systems? That also is a question. So when you buy a foreign technology, how much information he is passing down to you, how much you know about the system, that also makes a difference. So if you develop your own system and have your own technology, then you'll have full control over it. So it is a, and then we
So,
need to,
yeah, please continue, sir.
yeah, then we need to not only develop this technology, we also need to develop redundancy. We really cannot bank on, okay, only one kind of satellite navigation is available, or only one kind of communication is available, or only one technology radar is available. We all we must have some kind of redundancy, that in case one system fails, the other will take over. We should be like this news articles where I which I read, where the soldiers were asking that aircraft are coming and should we fire. Can you believe they 5,000 iglas and they didn't fire a single igla? A helicopter should have been a piece of cake for igla. Okay, but they didn't fire one single igla. We have to develop in such a manner where our small elements are capable of independent operation, because in future all the wars are going to be multi-domain operation, and when multi-domain operation takes place, we will try and operate in multi-domain and go for cyber attack and electromagnetic attack and whatever else is possible, and similar will be done by the enemy. So we not only have to buy only the best of the missile and best of the radar, we have to have the best of the communication system also, best of the anti-cyber capability also, best of the counter electromagnetic capability also.
And like you had very rightly said, sir, this has to be indigenous. We've seen it in Op Sindoor, what happened and how our Kashmir has behaved, and how our own weapon and our own technology saved the day for us. So this is all the more reason, though not a stage, but I would like to reiterate that the civil military fusion that we've been talking about, the technology cannot grow alone, and it is the domain experts who have spent their life within in security of the nation. They have to join hands with the technology partners, and we have to develop systems which are we should be Atmanirbhar, and code should be our own, and the procedures, the manning, everything has to be our own.
I
Sir,
mean,
thank you, sir. Sir, shall we take on the questions now?
yeah, please go ahead.
Sir. So, the very interesting question from Bihari Babu. I saw Pakistani media discussing whether India can do a Venezuela with Pakistan or not. So,
If
at least,
required, I think this defense secretary of US said that armed forces are one of the tools or options available to president of US, and the same rule is applicable for us also. Armed forces are one of the
absolutely,
tool available to the government of India, and in case they want, we can do it.
sir. Fine. So Jan Chaturvedi has given couple of remarks. There's one which he has spoken. In fact, I should have touched upon it. In view of Tulsi Gabbard's latest statement, can it be said that there is no consensus within U.S. administration over action in Venezuela? Tulsi
I
Gabbard has
think
given a statement.
Yeah. But see, irrespective, if you remember the previous Trump tenure, he had changed so many Secretary of State, so many defense secretary, because anyone who didn't like his way of working had to go. This time he has got more coherent team, but I think whatever he decides, he will push it through.
Right. Again, Chaturvedi has commented, what happens if US goes for Greenland, especially with respect to future of NATO? You have touched upon it. Denmark is a member of NATO, and also about Arctic route where Russia has supremacies.
So this, if we do some crystal gazing, okay, and if I have to, uh, let's take that I'm from the US and I have to take over Greenland without doing, without fighting or anything. It's fairly simple. It looks this. Next week there's going to be a conference in Europe where Ukraine's peace plan will be discussed. Andrew Witkoff and Jared are going there to attend that conference. Now, so far, US had planned, given 2-3 peace plan, which people, the rest of the world said that they are too much of pro-Russian peace plan, and Europe was trying to scuttle those. Now, suppose these guys go and say out there that either you give me Greenland, or I will stop supporting Ukraine. So there will be choice between Greenland or Ukraine. That could be one of the option, and there's no war which needs to be fought.
Absolutely.
Also read somewhere there's a proposal to give funds to Greenland citizens, and there's just
Hmm.
40,000 of them, and then have referendum. Also promise them U.S. citizenship.
Absolutely.
Now, if a referendum takes place and the majority population says that we want to join US, presently, Europeans are also saying Greenland is of people of Greenland. If the people of Greenland decide to join US, then who is going to stop? So
Absolutely.
I have a feeling that for Greenland, US may not have to fight a war. If it really wants it, it will grab it.
In the same this thing, sir, I would like to give you a small example. I've been to Taipei, Taiwan, sir, and I
Mhm.
realized that so many boys and girls from Taiwan are already married to boys and girls across in the mainlands. And the amount of business and the tourism that is going on between the mainland and Taiwan is tremendous. There are so many flights which are landing there at Taipei, and there are groups which I saw them. Lot of them from mainland in various provinces. So actually, if today Taiwan wants to divorce itself from the mainland, as far as economics is concerned, they will not be able to sustain economically because they so many people have invested so much of money inside the mainlands. So same is the case in case it happens. So they need not go in for war. Now it's everything is economics.
See, like what I brought out, the China is a very patient country. It plans for
Correct.
everything. Now, it just
Absolutely.
happened that the previous two elections in Taiwan are won by the party which is anti-China. And now, suppose this time the party which is
Yeah.
pro-China, that has got majority also, or very close to majority. Now, suppose the
Correct.
next election is won by the party which is pro-China,
Hmm.
and the way US is saying that the most of its focus is on Western Hemisphere, and it
Yeah.
is not that much interested in Asia Pacific, and you have a pro-China government in Taiwan. What stops that government say in future and saying that I want to be back with my motherland?
Correct.
Again, no
So
war
next
will be
question
fought.
is absolutely. So next question is from Colonel Jitinder Chauhan. Now, what is the credibility of UNO? So you've touched upon. I'll take on one more question from him simultaneously. You can answer this, sir. So, do you think now NATO is going to survive?
I have a feeling NATO will survive. Okay, but only time will tell. It all depends that how impatient President Trump is, because in case he wants Greenland in a hurry or something, then probably there will be some danger. Otherwise, NATO should survive, because it will be a very big change in case for some reason NATO collapses. because what are the
Absolutely.
possibility? Denmark is part of NATO, and is in Europe. But if US wants to take over Greenland, who are going to fight for Denmark? Will England fight for Denmark? Will France
Absolutely.
fight for Denmark? Okay, probably there will be some UN resolution where people will say that it should not be done and the sovereignty should not be violated. But who will go against it?
Agree with you, sir. Uh, so next question is from our secretary, Colonel R.P. Singh. Sir, you hope you give out kidnapping effect on India now and later, also in South Asia.
I didn't get it. Hope.
So he's just saying that if these sort of things happen in South Asia, sir, kidnapping of it's a
Yeah, it can happen, and Trump has shown a new way. But the thing is, the exam. If you remember the examples that I have quoted, okay, uh, if we are, if a country is as strong as US, it can do it. But if anyone else tries, probably the rest of the world will go against him. Okay, but this then yes, US has taught a very quick fix of solving any problem. You just pick
I,
out the leader, and you got no responsibility with the nation. What is happening out there? You tell that you look after your affair, and I'll come back again in case required.
absolutely. General Ajay Chaturvedi has commented, sir, with reference to China and mainland China and Taiwan. He says for semiconductor industry of Taiwan, sand for silica comes from mainland China. I mean, this is his observation on this.
Yeah, that is
So,
interdependence. This is what I think you are also bringing out, where the lot
correct,
of Taiwanese and Chinese are getting married. So, and at the end of it, it is the same race. They
correct.
speak same language. They eat same food. And China is becoming strong. After some time, probably Taiwan will feel safer getting attached to China than to US.
And since I've been there, sir, I can't resist quoting this. I asked one of the senior officers of Taiwanese army that how confident are you that in the event of a China Taiwan war that the US will come to your aid. So he says that we have to pretend and keep saying that US will come to our aid, but we have to be prepared ourselves to face the Chinese threat. I think he summed it up well, sir. So you have no choice but to pretend that US will come, but at
Huh,
the
huh.
same time you be ready also, sir.
Yeah, this I read somewhere when I was reading about Taiwan. Taiwan is not preparing to win a war against China. Taiwan is just trying to make it so costly for China that China doesn't attempt this. Okay.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely,
so that is their plan. They are really not depending upon that US will come and help them 100%. So they are preparing. They're buying their own equipment, and they're preparing to make it very costly for China to attack and occupy.
absolutely. Sir, I think we've run absolutely out of time. We've handled most of the questions, and now it's time for me to sum it up, sir. After some time, Venezuela will, today it is in headlines. After some time, Venezuela will no longer be in headlines. But its effect in are going to define the geopolitics in the 21st century as it stands in the beginning of 2026. Today, is it only the nation which are powerful and that they will keep dictating the terms, and those who are weaker will have to, we have no choice, and their voice will not be heard anywhere, sir. तो सवाल वेनेजुएला का नहीं है, ये नहीं है कि कौन गलत था कौन सही था, सवाल ये है कि क्या वर्ल्ड इज नाउ सेइंग और गेसिंग कि अगली बारी किसकी है, because he's threatened so many people and taking a cue from the US. So I think if this sort of situation continues, the world is no way going towards safer avenues in coming months, and we have no choice but to remain prepared, as the Air Marshal had very clearly mentioned during his talk. Thank you very much, sir, and we will invite you over again for continuation of, we had in fact interesting discussion on China and Taiwan. I really want to continue with that in future and many more subjects, sir. Thank you, and I'll request our viewers to please like, share, and comment. Thank you very much. See you soon, sir. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thanks, Vadia. Jai Hind.